All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about X on the Beach, MTV. I believe this is the fifth season, um, and it's really good. These are just first impressions. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do every episode as it goes, but I really was like, I wanted to calculate in my own mind, like, what are the episodes that I've enjoyed, seasons rather, and like why. So season one was okay, but I was never a fan of Are You the One? I guess it was okay, and it really did have a lot of people crossing over to the challenge, which ended up making sense. But at the time, I was like, "Huh." So I never thought I would like X on the Beach. So season one, I kind of just like watched it and it was gone. Didn't really pay attention. But season two, the cast, in my opinion, was just so great. I thought they were all interesting, and I was like, this is a show. And if you're gonna have a show where the producers step in and sort of like stir the pot, and really make things a lot harder, this is definitely the show that kind of does it and some. But it's like they don't really stir the pot completely because it is the element of like mixing your next with your ex, and then how do you decide what's going to work, and everyone's gorgeous, and I mean, not an ugly, not an extra 10% body fat on any of these people. So when you get to my age, you just have to vicariously live through these shows sometimes because it's so great. And I was like, okay, I wanted to look at what I liked about X on the Beach of the other seasons. Like I said, season two was the best. Um, I want to like season three with Aubrey. I'm a huge Aubrey O'Day fan. Danity Kane, I enjoyed. I watched her on Marriage Boot Camp. Like she was on The Apprentice. Like Aubrey is really TV gold, but the cast around her really wasn't that strong. So I was like, maybe X on the Beach isn't that great of a show. But I did watch the one where they were they were outside and it was a more of a snowy environment. So I was kind of waiting because it seems like it's been a very long time since we've had another X on the Beach. And then it was like, who's the cast? And then it was like, as soon as I heard Davon was on the show, I was like, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. So basically, what I wanted to do today is just give a first impression of this particular season, which I believe is season five of X on the Beach, and just say what I like about it, what I don't like about it. What I'll do right now is pull up actually the cast or some of the cast. Um, let's see. Let's start. I guess from the beginning would be this guy named Elaine Lorenzo is one of the singles. They don't have all the singles um just yet. You know what I mean? They don't have on the first episode rather. So I guess I'll kind of bypass him. Don't know much about him. Don't know if he's like going to be in high demand. Maybe. I know you hear a lot of people say they like that big bulky look. I mean, if I hear another, what is his name? If I hear another Aquaman, if I hear another Jason Momoa as being so hot, I'm gonna lose it because Jason Momoa was hotter on Baywatch. This bulky body, I don't see it. But if you see it, that's great. Good for you. Let's move on to somebody who I think is TV gold, Aris, who I remember originally seeing on a show that was done through I think Whoopi Goldberg actually produced the show. So this was some time ago, but Aris was just always one of these people. Excuse me, my phone is ringing. Is it Aris? Oh, bummer. Aris is just somebody that I've got my eye on. Great for reality TV, but I feel like she's going to bring an ounce of vulnerability. Not an ounce. She's going to bring a lot of vulnerability, and I'm kind of here for it. And then initially realizing that she's intertwined with Mike, and it's like you remember. Let's go to Mike real quick. You remember Mike from the Lindsay Lohan show, and also like on his channel as well. He's just he makes no qualms about being loud and funny, and I wouldn't even call him obnoxious. I actually think he isn't obnoxious. But he's just cool to me. I could see how he would bore a lot, not bore, but annoy a lot of the people in the house for that long period of time. But it's going to be interesting to see where he goes, and what's going to happen. And I feel like he came onto this show and he came ready to play. But let's go back to Aris. Um, I mean, just I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for the one-liners. I'm ready for, like, again, a little bit of vulnerability too, but I'm ready for just, being, I guess, like a meme queen, I don't really look at memes as being such a big deal, but I know they do go around, especially in the younger generation. So I believe Aris is going to be able to give that. So then we have somebody else as far as our singles, Bryce. I believe he was on a show called Too Hot to Handle. I don't watch all of these shows. I don't watch all the thing. Um, trying to multitask here. I don't watch all of the Netflix, Are You Hot Enough, et cetera, Temptation Island, Love Island, all the stuff. But there's something so unique about X on the Beach. And I guess that would be my first question for you is, do you watch this show because this is your genre? Like, you really into this genre? Or did you do what I did, which was like you were familiar with Mike, you were familiar with the Reese, you were familiar with Davon, and you're like, oh, I want to see who else is on the cast. That's what brought me to this particular season. But again, I do like the premise, but I don't think the premise alone for X on the Beach can do the trick. I think you really do need to have a a good cast. And I think that I don't know, I'm just like so into this. Just on the trailer alone, actually go further back. On the casting alone, when it was announced or the rumors or whatever, then the trailer, and then watching episode one, I'm like, I'm in, I'm in. And that's what's great about it. I am way over the demographic for this, this silly show, but I'm just eating my popcorn, and being like, "Come on, Aris," she's turning the looks too. I mean, it's just I love this show, and I really typically don't like overly produced shows because I'm like I'll watch even Big Brother sometimes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you could tell like there is a little bit of arcing to keep somebody in the house, or it's like all of a sudden there's a mysterious power that no one in the house knows about. I don't like that usually, but when it comes to X on the Beach, I like it because imagine battling. Oh my gosh, I'm in the house, everything works out well, and I spot somebody new. I mean, everyone looks gorgeous, right? And then I start building this energy with the person, and then ding dong, all of a sudden the X is going to be there, and you don't even know what the perspective of that X is. You don't know if the X is going to be wanting to get back with who they used to be with, or they're there for their own revenge to like I'm gonna show you it. The show's great. So let's see who else we have not met. As far as in our first episode, Bryce, we have not met Bryce. David is had a little bit of a rough start at the beginning. He had a couple corny jokes. He even fell and hit himself when he was getting out of the water. Like, he literally got up out the pool and like fell. But it turns out he's kind of, and I totally love storylines like this. He is beginning to. I mean, I'm feeling like it's put on for the show to a degree. I feel like he's probably a little further off in his journey. Um, but for the sake of the TV show, it does make sense. He's opening up. He's proclaiming, that he's bisexual, and he's kind of been starting to have feelings for Mike. In my opinion, I would say that he probably is a little more evolved than that. But in the basis of storytelling for the show, I kind of like where they're going with it. I mean, he's so handsome, so it totally works. And yeah, I like it. Let's see who else is on the show. And will he be a little cheesy? He might be a little cheesy, but you got to think like, wherever our journeys are, and I know for whoever, we always have these different goals originally. And so there's a part of me that's like, what would that be like? And who knows? Was he actually destined for for the major leagues, as far as greatness, and that was his life? And what happened? What do you do when that doesn't happen? I know it's an injury, I believe, he stated. So there's a little bit of compassion that I see for people who've given their whole life for athletics, and then for an injury it kind of does not happen. That certainly isn't anything that is fun to watch, or um it's I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, getting him on the show is fun because we have a couple of different turning points, and I think that's really good. And yeah, he's already made out with Mike on episode one, so I'm like totally into it. Let's see what else we have. We have, oh, Davon. Who doesn't love Davon? I love in her opening intro. She goes, "I'm a grown ass woman and I'm grown years old." And I'm of the type that I actually like when people, I don't know how old she is. I'm probably significantly older than her, but I like it when people do actually express their age, because I feel like what ours, and any young person will know, they may not know it now, but as you get older, like, so many things are geared just towards, the 22, 23, 24, 26, by 30, that, the you just opportunity sometimes does dry up. I know that from, my own radio career. I mean, when I was doing radio in my 20s and pursuing a little bit of television on air work, it was a lot different and faster and more plentiful. By the time you hit 30, uh, it just, things change. And then guess what? Your metabolism changes. It's just so fun. But anyways, what I'm saying is, on one hand, I like that she said, "You are not going to tell me that I need to give you my age. I keep that private. I have my boundaries." So salute to that. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, why don't you, um, expressing your age is good, because then you're making a marketplace for people, where they don't have to feel, especially women, where they don't have to feel like they age out after 32, 33, 34. I mean, you've heard actresses talk about this for years and years and years. I mean, for every Meryl Streep that made it all the way through, there's probably a lot of actresses who, by the time they got to 40 years old, there wasn't really a lot of roles that made sense. Not I mean, roles for sure, but like whole, like deep, meaningful, the work. You don't want that script to be rich. So, anyways, I went on a tangent that was not necessarily about Davon at all. But anyways, what do I think about Davon? I mean, who doesn't love Davon? I mean, she's interesting because I feel like, knowing her through the challenge, a little bit, although I didn't watch all of her challenge, episodes, but more so through Big Brother. But I watch a lot of challenge too. I didn't It's kind of interesting because you've always heard little bits of her personal life, but I feel like more of what you ever heard was, her being a mother and stuff of that nature. And already in episode 1, we're hearing that, I mean, I guess I heard it right, but it almost seems different. But kudos to her that, like, she had been with the same guy for some time, and that she really hadn't had a lot of, let's say she had a lot of dates maybe, and, get to try things out for sure, but she hadn't, you know rounded to home plate, and, that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, and more people aren't as pure in that. And so it just opened me up to, like, okay, I already like Davon from those other two shows, but now I'm going to be getting another version of her. And it's pretty cool. The one thing that confused me for a moment, though, is when she got her, like, her ex did show up. She had just finished, I mean, not editing wise, I don't know, but she had just finished saying that, like, no, I was really with this guy and this guy only for the most part. And it was like such an emotional thing, and editing wise, it wasn't too far away that the guy, an ex comes, and I thought that ex was that guy, but I don't think that was him. That was somebody she might have, dated, and, maybe they went to first base, second base. But he's got a little bit of a, somewhat of a cocky attitude, it seems. And that might just be the protective energy. Let me see, I'll get his name here. That's that protective energy that I think most viewers have, for Davon. Was it Jonathan? No, not Jonathan. He's coming later. I think he's from World of Dance. It was, oh, it was this guy right here. Yeah. I guess he was on, I guess he's a ladies' man. It even says it in the description, but I think he was, on Canada's Big Brother. Um, anyways, that's what I would want to correlate. That's not the guy, right? That's not the guy that she had been with for some years, several years. Or this is somebody else she's dating, correct? That's what I assume. Anyways, it's Davon. We're gonna be in for a ride, and if we get tears, I mean, that's good TV, and if we get fun, that's also good TV. So this girl I'm not too familiar with, other than there was the show A Shot of Love did get remade with Paulie and Vinny, and I guess she did 2 seasons. I guess she really moved forward and kind of had like a name in that particular, um that particular show and that franchise, I guess. Um, and I do think I remember her because I do remember them bringing some girls back. Not necessarily like, they of course had the girl that went on to date Paulie, but this was like this girl coming back, and then you almost it was almost like their shot of love, I think is what I remember. So with that being said, she'll probably be fun. I really didn't get much from her at the initial episode, but um I'm decently looking for more. I don't, but I also don't know much about her. So we'll skip past some of these other people. Let's go to Raneen Kareem. So this one, it's so funny. I was just listening to a podcast recently and they were saying, like, oh yeah, but remember being famous doesn't pay, which I totally do believe it doesn't pay. But and then you get mad because you're like, wow, so this girl's got an opportunity based on being, essentially a home wrecker, right? Like, with Carl Lentz. Now, Carl Lentz, it has to take responsibility for his own situation. But like, yeah, you can be now on TMZ and you could get booked for a show, and from that parlay it to this, that, and the other. So I have no problem with her. I'm just like speaking on the issue at hand, like, oh wow, like this is how other people are getting introduced, like, hi, I'm from Big Brother, or I'm from this MTV show, or I played in the Olympics. And this one's like, no, I just was with the guy who was married for 14 years and we were together for 5 measly months, and boom, tabloids, and here I am. But she's with all that still. She seems interesting. The Carl Lentz of it all is I do remember going to Irving Plaza, going to Hillsong many times, and just seeing like this perfect, like spoken, Carl Lentz. He was a bit of a, so charismatic, so great with his words. And when he would do his I guess would it be it was a non-denominational church. I didn't go to it many times. I went probably, I would say, like 15 to 20 times. Especially those first couple years I was in New York. And yeah, I guess he was this just different thing. He was cool. It was church and it was the word, but it was different. And so I hate that, potentially this really ruins it for Hillsong, which it shouldn't, but obviously there's going to be a hit. And then Christian or non-denominational service, because he's now somewhat of an example. But things do happen, and I think with this girl, as long as she's willing to tell her honest part of the story, like, does she have tons of remorse? Like, was it something that just happened? Did he lead her on? Like, I'm not going to blame her. I'm going to blame him. He's the one who's accountable. For the longest time, he would have. You'd see his Instagram and he'd have his cute kids. It was like he was portraying this perfect family and this perfect non-denominational Christian service, and everything's great about that. And mistakes are also okay. So I think with this girl, I'm just very interested to see where her stance is. Like, is she did like how like she had to have known he was married, or did she not? Did he feed her, oh, it's over, and I real that's the part that is a bit interesting, I guess. And more than anything, it's a bit sad. Now, she's the other one though of the group that actually has her own stuff just in general. The she has the concept of she was the only one married. And so, this is a different version of an ex. And a lot of the exes that come onto the show, it's like some of them still want to be, I said this a second ago, some of them still want to be with who they used to be with, or some of them want to come out there for like some type of revenge. So I don't know what her ex, where, not revenge, but like I'll show you, and be with somebody 10 times hotter than you, whatever that would be called, not revenge, but just to one up you, I guess. So with this one, it might be different, because if you're actually divorced, you've been through it. But then, like, what if they're completely divorced, but then they're back in the house together, and the hormones start moving? I mean, I don't know. So that's her, and she's we'll learn more about her. This one, we have Ray Gant, from that really popular show that I didn't really enjoy it. I watched the last season. I thought Cachet was really fun. It's a Love Island. But I guess this guy was on Ray. He was on like one of the earlier seasons. He is so fun, so charismatic as well. Um, Body is, I like it, nice tight up here like this. I mean, he's very good looking, very sculpted, all that stuff. You see, that to me is what I would consider a good body. That the other one who we started at the beginning of this episode here, where you're real bulky, Jason Momoa like that, does the that's not for me. But when the chest is real, it's prominent, and the arms are real, and the shoulders are real, real big. I like it. Anyways, he's funny, he's cool, but we're getting a side of him that is so fun. But then on the other side, we get his ex coming in, storming in, and she, of course, probably built up that energy. There is a moment where she does kind of apologize, and maybe not for the fact that she stormed in, because she did find out that he did cheat on her with one of his girlfriends. That's his issue. That's his charismatic issue. He has a problem dating, as said by him, because when he dates, he tends to hold on to a lot of really fun female friends, and that always makes the woman that he's with um have jealousy issues. But it's like, is it jealousy issues if he does actually step in it? You know what I mean? You can't say, "Oh, well, you're just being jealous," but then, "Oh, look at, I had a reason to be." So that's why his ex, really came out there, had stuff to say, but she did pull it back after. And that's the greatest thing about X on the Beach. She could be mad at him, but there could be somebody, some other guy in that house who could be like, "You know what? I have interest. I have some interest." So, pretty much, the show is set up where, like, essentially Ray could be maybe not, like he could be like, all of a sudden, like, dang, look at my ex, and she's having a ball, and I kind of miss her. Like, that's what makes the show so good. As far as any of the other singles that we saw, I think that's all who we saw at the very beginning. Everyone looks wonderful. I think this Elias is, I believe, Renin's ex. Although it'd be great if he was family, but that is neither here nor there. Um, See, I watch this show, and even my grown hormones just start to talking. But it's a fun show. Anyway, where did I go? It's a fun show, and X on the Beach season 5, I think, is going to be so alive. No, I'm into it, and this is just my perspective. Again, if you are super young, that is wonderful. I'm glad your metabolism is in order. Watch the show differently than I watch it. I'm grown, but it's still fun for me too, and I just wanted to take a little moment to have an opinion on it. My questions for the series is, who would you cast if there was another season of X on the Beach? That's one. And where do we think Davon will go? Like, what will we see from Davon that we have not seen on, like, a Big Brother or The Challenge? So to me, I'm really got my eye on Davon. I got my eye on Aris as far as this show, but then, like, I want a lot. I mean, if it were me, if I was in charge of MTV or whatever, I'd have my eye on Aris, and I would be like, okay, after this series, no matter where she lands, I don't know. Maybe she's like in love, 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 love right now. I don't know. Maybe she back with Mike, not back with Mike. Of course, social media will tell you all the stories, but I'm going based on the show. If I was MTV, I'm getting that spinoff ready. So I mean, I just love her so much. So we will see where it all goes. That wraps up the episode, and I will potentially come back and do more. But this was just like my first impressions of this particular season, because again, I don't just watch all of the X on the Beaches. Season 3 was really hard. I spot watched it. I like Aubrey, but oh great, we got Marie. Devin's funny, but like, it wasn't that wonderful, unfortunately. Um, but this cast did give me something, and I'll be watching and maybe popping in to do other little episodes. If you want to follow all of the episodes that we have, of course, do hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr., and you'll see everything. All right, I got to get out of here. I'll talk to you on the next one.